this is Chris at Clever Unicorn Games and the Unicorn Collective, back with another one of our designer interviews. Today with me, I am honoured to have Elizabeth Hargraves, the designer of Wingspan and the soon-to-be-out Mariposas. How are you doing today, Elizabeth?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, tell me, when you are not designing and playing board games, what is it that you like to do with your spare time?
I've been doing a lot of birding lately. It's migration season, so there's lots of warblers coming through that we don't get to see at other times of the year. I'm a mushroomer. I have a big vegetable garden. A lot of outdoor stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. We've recently moved house and we've found ourselves with a much bigger garden now, and we've started planting a lot of vegetables and fruit bushes and things out there now as
Awesome.
well. And there's
Awesome.
already in this house there was already a lovely flower garden, so we're hoping all the butterflies are going to come this summer as well.
Nice. What
Already
what
seen a few.
what fruit did you put in?
We've got blueberry bushes and we have raspberry bushes.
Lovely.
So that's going to be nice. I don't think they're going to be ready with fruit until probably next year though, but they're certainly growing pretty quickly.
Yeah, it takes time.
What would you say is your favorite game?
Oh, I get asked this a lot, and I still always hate picking. I usually say Race for the Galaxy. I love that. It's probably the game that I have played more than anything else.
Yeah, that's the same for me as well. That's the first game I
Oh yeah,
bought that got me back, kind of in. Well, I'll say back, but into this more, our sort of gaming. I played like Monopoly and Cluedo or Clue, I think you guys
yeah.
call it, when I was younger. But then I got back into it about 2011, and the first game I bought was Race for
Okay.
the Galaxy because I like
Wow.
sci-fi and it got good reviews, so I just ordered it and then
Right.
got it. And yeah, now it's still one of my favorite games.
Yeah, it's so quick, especially two-player. Like you can just we'll almost always play 2 out of 3. Because yeah, it's just lovely.
What expansions do you play with?
The first two.
Yeah, I'm more of a first one. It was a Gathering Storm, where
Yeah,
it adds the goals that everybody has to compete for, because
that's essential.
it
I
adds a
love
bit
the
more
goals.
interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, well there you go. All these games, and that's the one. What kind of games is it that inspired you to start designing games?
I mean, that was one of them. I was definitely playing a ton of Race for the Galaxy when I first started on Wingspan, and I always smile when reviewers see a hint of Race for the Galaxy in Wingspan, because it's definitely there. Um, but it was I was playing a bunch of other hobby games at the time, had been for about 10 years already, and was just tired of the themes. Like, I'm not a particularly sci-fi person, and I'm certainly not like a big castles and trains person. Like, is anyone? No, there are train
That's the main
people.
three themes for games, though, really, isn't it?
So yeah, just started talking with some friends actually about like what would it look like to have a game that was about something that we were actually interested in.
Yeah, and you can see the Race for the Galaxy sort of, influence on it, especially with the tableau building and the engine building side of it.
Right, right.
When coming up with a game, where do you start?
Um, so yeah, I often will start sort of specking out what's the story I want to tell, who's my audience that I'm sort of aiming for, at least initially, and that may change over time. Um, but and a little bit about like what mechanics would help tell that story, and trying to feel out like what would make sense for whoever I'm aiming at. So, and then that gives me sort of a north star when I'm playtesting. If something isn't working, like if I'm aiming at a pretty light audience, like Mariposas, I was like, this is a game about butterflies. People are going to want to play it with their kids. Like, it's just pretty, and like, I don't want it to be too heavy. And so then as I was playtesting it, a lot of decisions, if I had sort of a fork in the road, I tried to aim on the side where I thought it would work better for families. Um, but usually it's starting with a theme or like I would almost say a story. Although Wingspan is really just birds, like the fact that birds are cool. It's a cool thing in the world that I want people to know about. Is probably that the best way to say it for most of my games. Like so, like Tassimasi is like the fact that in Victorian times people were publishing entire dictionaries about what flowers meant when you gave them to people. Like that's so weird and wonderful and like a fun thing for people to know about and to play around with.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in getting Tussie Mussy and having a go with it. It looks really interesting. When, or if you've, well, you have, right, I'll go back and ask that again as well. I've just messed up a question. When you've taken a game from your head all the way to market with, say, like with Jamie at Stonemaier, what obstacles or sort of barriers got in your way, and then how did you overcome those barriers? Could think of a couple of the worst times you've been. Oh, where do I go from here?
I mean, usually it's just trying to feel out where the design needs to end up and finding that sort of sweet spot. Um, so it's hard to think of like specific barriers. It's more just like what works, what doesn't. Play test it a million times and keep iterating in little ways, and then occasionally having big breakthroughs. Um, so like in development with Jamie, the thing that we worked on a lot was the engine building and really ramping that up. And so that one was really a little bit of a tension between him wanting to pull it heavier for his audience and me being like, yeah, but people who like birds are going to want to play this game and not all of them like heavy games. And so like really trying to find that sweet spot where it was accessible but still meaty. So I don't know if that counts as an obstacle, but that's like that is a very specific um place that we wanted to end up, and finding it took a lot of time and playtesting and um trial and error for sure.
Have you ever played a game and you don't have to name it that you just didn't like? And what was it? Was it a mechanic of the theme? What was it that put you off that game?
I hate social deduction games as an entire genre. I think the first time that I played one, because of the name of the genre, I was expecting more actual deduction, and actual logical deduction is something that I love. Like I will do logic puzzles just for fun. Um, and I'm excited that there are a couple like actual logical deduction puzzles or games coming out. Like I just got my friend Matthew O'Malley's game, The Search for Planet X, um, which I'm so excited about. But social deduction, I hate lying and being lied to and suspecting that my friends are lying to me, and oh, it's miserable. And it's like
100%.
yeah. And not having any solid information to work with, I think is on top of the lying.
Yeah, there's no
The
real game
fact that
to
the
it. It
lying
is
then makes it not deduction at all.
it is just
Yeah.
literally trying to make your friends think something that isn't true. It's
Right.
like, I mean, I don't really name them, but people know that I have a great hatred for the Resistance because of that.
Yes.
It's that's
Yes.
the main game. I mean, I played that and then that put me off all of that kind of games. And I know people
Yes.
that love it, so it's not like it's not going to do well because I say it's rubbish. But it's it's one of those types of games where I feel bad after playing it. I feel bad that people can
Yeah.
lie, and I feel
Yeah.
bad. And this is the problem with me. I find it very hard to lie in them. I once played.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you ever play Coup? Which is a similar sort of game, but it's a little
I
bit
don't know. I
lighter.
don't think I have.
That's a similar sort of thing, but it's a bit lighter. But
Yeah.
I've managed to win so many times with that just by telling the truth because of the way it works. And then people cotton on to the fact that I rarely lie in it, so then it's easy to catch me out. But for those
Right.
first few games with new
Right.
people, I just tend to tell the
Right.
truth and still
That's
win the
great.
game. But yeah, not a big fan of those at all.
Yeah.
Why is it that you want to make games?
I mean, the way I started was really just like I had a vision for a game that it felt like there wasn't something out there that was meeting what I wanted in games. And so I wanted to make the game that I wanted to play. And I guess I'm still doing that. Or, I mean, it's a little bit of that and a little bit of just like once my brain started thinking about how games work, it was hard to let it go.
It is kind of addictive, isn't it? Once you've made one and you've seen it work and you've got it completed and at the table, it makes you think, oh, yeah, I need to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, how has the state of the world affected how you are currently designing games?
Um, I had started working on a dexterity game that I have just completely shelved because I don't have a way to play test it. Um, I have been wrapping up the next expansion for Wingspan, and that's been all stuff that I can do on the computer. Like we sent it out for blind play testing, and people just played it with whoever they were quarantining with. And I got lots of written feedback back that I could just work on. So that's been okay, but like I'm very reluctant to start anything new right now because I've been playtesting other people's games on Tabletop Simulator and I hate it. I hate it. I just don't even want to go to the work of putting something up there. Yeah, I don't even know how to articulate all the things that I hate about it, but it makes me not want to play just. And I am happy to just take a break and not work on a new design right now. And I feel like also um I need breaks now and then anyway, just to like get my juices flowing. So yeah, once I finish, like I have after we get off this conversation, I have to go through a whole bunch of proofreading edits for for the Wingspan expansion rule book, and then I think I'm just gonna I'll probably keep playtesting other people's stuff on Tabletop Simulator a little bit just because I enjoy that process and I enjoy checking in with folks on and doing that. But I don't have specific plans to start anything new right now.
Yeah, no, same with me. We put anything we had on the shelf as well, and that's why I'm
Really?
doing this. That's why I'm doing all of these
Yeah,
videos. And again, with the yeah, tabletop simulator is a nightmare. And there's certain things with it that just aren't possible or don't work properly. And then you've got the whole aspect of tabletop simulator if you're not actually facing somebody, so it's not quite the same social
right.
situation as a board game. But
Right. And I
it's
feel like
kind of all
a
we
lot of
have right now.
right. I feel like a lot of my playtest feedback is like the sort of social nonverbal cues of how people are interacting with the game, and you don't get any of that in the playtest. So like you can, if there's something mechanical that you just need to like physically see if it works, I think it's useful for that. But sort of the bigger picture, I think really you miss out. You can do some of it, we do voice chat alongside it, so you get a little bit if people will articulate what they're thinking while they're playing. But
And that is
I
kind of
don't
the
know.
good thing about Discord as well as with Discord you get to like when
Yeah.
we recorded the playtesting sessions, we've done a designer playtesting show where we actually playtest designers' games, and it's a bunch of designers sat around
Oh,
playing.
cool.
But we have it on video cam, it's all on conferencing, so I have the little screens up so you can see people's faces as they're reacting, which does help a lot because you
Oh,
find
yeah.
when you're just on voice comms with somebody, something really fun might be happening, but because you can't see people smiling and having fun and it's kind of quiet,
Yeah.
you think nobody is, but actually they are. They're just
Interesting.
not. You just can't see them enjoying it, if you know what I mean. So that, yeah, you do need to have
Yeah.
the ability to see people to know when they're enjoying stuff.
Yeah. I haven't tried it with video. I've only done the audio. I've also found that Tabletop Simulator like eats up my computer's entire memory. So like I have to do even audio. I end up doing the audio on my phone because like my computer's just completely
Yeah,
unable to do Discord at the same time.
luckily I've got quite a lot of memory in the computer
I
because yeah, it
know.
does use a huge amount. With doing that and doing the video recording and the Discord, it would tax
Right.
a computer unless you'd put quite a bit into it.
Right.
So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a new designer thinking about starting a game?
You got to get it to the table as soon as possible. Like whenever someone says like, "Oh, I have this amazing game that I have all worked out, but I haven't started playtesting it yet," I'm like, "You do not have an amazing game yet. You do not have it worked out." And I think it can save you so much time if you just try and get something really like quick and handmade to the table really quickly and like figure out the big things that you didn't have in your head before you started. Like things become abundantly clear as soon as even just playing against yourself. Things start to become abundantly clear. Like I don't think there are many people that can really play it all out in their heads, um, and actually foresee how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. There's a few times where and I'm sure you've been the same, where you've got this game and you've thought it worked really well, you've got it out, you've made your little prototype, you've asked a friend to come and help, you've played it for 5 minutes and gone, yep, this should have stayed in my head.
Yeah, yeah. And I always try and play something against myself and like pretend to be another person if I can before I inflict it on someone else, because I often will go through several rounds of that before I make other people play test it.
It was actually funny at the
Before,
beginning of
yeah.
this whole system. Before I started doing the videos, I did create a game and put it onto Tabletop Simulator, which was a game that I just did in my head and then uploaded the assets and then put on there without playing, and
Mm-hmm.
then got people to come and play it and try and fix it and stuff. And that was kind of fun doing that, where it was just completely random out of my head. I went, I want an area control game with action point system, put it up there. So I did, and I used assets
Yeah.
from another game that we'd already purchased. So it's all these assets that I'd left over. So it looks kind of nice as well. Put it up there, and yeah, 3 playtests later, and it's a completely different game to the one
Yeah.
that I put up
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah. Right. So everything will change in your first 10 playtests. Everything will change. So like just spend as little time as possible making the physical stuff of the game. Like you don't have to make it pretty. In fact, I heard Daniel Solis talk about a few months ago. He was talking about like make your prototype only as polished as the gameplay is, because it helps adjust the playtester's expectations. And like if you put something on the table that looks really raw when it is really raw, then people will feel very comfortable giving you like complete and total like breakdown feedback. Whereas if you have this like beautifully polished looking thing that ends up being quite broken, people might be a little bit more nervous that you think it's farther along than it actually is.
No, well, that
Sure.
was brilliant. Thank you for coming and speaking to me today, Elizabeth. That was eye-opening.
Oh, that was fast. Absolutely, my pleasure.